So good afternoon and welcome to our second webinar in a series of webinars on the informational presentations on Massachusetts' new Registered Teacher Apprenticeship Program. My name is Claire Abbott and I am the Director of the Office of Educator Effectiveness. And I'm joined today by my colleague, Lakia Bayman, DESE's Program Coordinator for the Registered Teacher Apprenticeship Program, or what we call RTAP. I also want to give a shout out as well to our colleague, Darcy Fernandez, Senior Associate Commissioner of the Center for Strategic Initiatives, who is leading this work in partnership with our office. Lindsay Zorich, the Assistant Director of Educator Preparation, is also on the webinar with us today. So today we will be introducing you to RTAP and the unique opportunity it brings to aspiring teachers, hiring districts, and educator preparation programs specifically. If you weren't able to attend the first webinar in this series, I encourage you to visit our webpage and review the presentation, which goes into even greater detail on program features. Today's webinar will focus primarily on the role and the responsibilities of educator preparation programs in supporting registered teacher apprenticeship programs. Future webinars in this series will explore additional topics such as program application and review processes, opportunities for grant funding through DESE, and sustainable funding models. Today, we will dive more deeply into the role of educator preparation programs, or EPPs, as they are often referred to in the apprenticeship context, so you can get a sense if this is a good opportunity for you at this time or in the future. A few norms for today. We are conducting today's conversation in a webinar format in order to facilitate its recording and to ensure that we capture and document all questions. This webinar will be available on our website for additional viewing along with the slides. Please submit any questions today using the Q&A feature on Zoom, which is located at the bottom of your screen. We will monitor this throughout, and we will use what remaining time we have at the conclusion of the hour to answer several of the questions live. For questions that we cannot get to, we will collect them and we will provide answers through an updated FAQ document, which will also be posted on our website earlier next week. We strongly encourage you to share your questions in the Q&A so we know what additional information you may need going forward. And even if we can't answer it specifically right now, we will do our best to get those answers as quickly as we can. And as always, please direct any future questions to the Educator Apprenticeships mailbox, which we will drop into the chat momentarily. Here is our agenda for today. After a quick overview of the background and context for RTAPs in Massachusetts, we will discuss the three main goals of the program, the requirements and considerations for educator preparation programs, commonly asked questions, and conclude with a brief introduction to the RTAP application and review process. So first, I'm going to start with a brief background and some context. I first want to acknowledge the partners that came together around the design and approval of RTAPs in Massachusetts. And I want to specifically thank the National Center for Grow Your Own, which served as a key advisor to our team in the development of the state standards and ensuring alignment to national standards that have informed similar programs throughout the country. And we are incredibly grateful to our colleagues at the Division of Apprentice Standards in the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development here in Massachusetts, without whom this program would not be possible. They have been thoughtful, creative partners in bringing the registered teacher apprentice role to Massachusetts, and we look forward to a long partnership. I also want to thank members of a key external advisory group who met consistently for 6 months last year to help design and draft the requirements for Massachusetts' first registered teacher apprenticeship program. With representatives from our two major teachers unions, administrators, and EdPrep leadership, this group was essential in crafting a program that met the needs of Massachusetts students and educators, with the goal of removing inequitable barriers to teaching expanding access to the profession, and cultivating a truly diverse and effective workforce. And as a preview of what you'll see in the standards, I want to specifically elevate two priorities that emerged from this advisory group: the importance of alignment to existing standards and requirements for effective preparation, and the importance of ensuring and supporting high-quality, culturally responsive supervising practitioners. We are very grateful for their input and their partnership. All of this work is in service of our educational vision, and it's third of three strategic priorities: to develop and sustain a workforce that is diverse, culturally responsive, well-prepared, and committed to continuous improvement, such that all students have equitable access to effective educators. The Registered Teacher Apprenticeship Program, with its commitment to recruiting, developing, and retaining a diverse workforce, alongside its explicit investment in doing so in culturally and linguistically sustaining teaching and learning environments, truly embodies the vision of this strategic objective and will hopefully serve as a model going forward for a new and sustainable pathway into teaching. So what is a Registered Teacher Apprenticeship Program? The good news is that Massachusetts is not alone in rolling out this new pathway to teacher licensure. As you can see here, we're joining over 35 states that have recently developed the occupation of Registered Teacher Apprentice, with the number of enrolled apprentices ranging from fewer than 50 in some of the newer states to over 100 and in some cases over 300 in the more experienced states. We have the opportunity to learn from them and alongside them as we invest in this new pathway. So in a nutshell, an RTAP is a clear, articulated pathway for an aspiring educator to become a teacher at little to no cost and get paid to do so. There's a lot that goes into that simple statement, however. First and foremost, apprentices still complete an approved preparation program in the licensure area that they are seeking. During this time, they work in a full-time instructional role under the guidance of a mentor teacher in a K-12 classroom. This hands-on, job-embedded learning experience is an essential component to RTAPs. And finally, through its unique design and explicit goals, RTAPs in Massachusetts are set up to improve the diversity, effectiveness, and ultimately the retention of teachers in local communities, particularly in our most diverse and hardest to staff localities. RTAP takes all of the best of Grow Your Own, residency, and traditional preparation models and integrates them into one comprehensive pathway into teaching. I'm now going to turn it over to my colleague, Lakia Bayman, to walk us through the program goals for RTAPs in Massachusetts.
Thanks, Claire, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your participation. The RTAP program focuses on three key goals: increasing educator diversity, strengthening the educator pipeline, and improving educator quality. First, we're working to make the teaching workforce more representative of the communities it serves. By creating more pathways into teaching and removing barriers, we're making it easier for people from diverse backgrounds to join the profession. At the same time, we're dedicated to ensuring that every educator receives high-quality training and support. These goals all come together to build a more inclusive and highly skilled teaching workforce, which ultimately benefits students across Massachusetts. Now let's dive into how RTAP helps us to reach these important goals. RTAP aims to close the gap between student and teacher demographics by focusing on hiring from local communities and using more equitable recruitment practices. It's about creating opportunities for people from all backgrounds to step into the classroom. RTAP also promotes teaching methods that respect and honor diverse cultures and languages, helping to create classrooms where every student feels seen and heard. And just as important, it builds supportive learning environments for teachers themselves, ensuring they have what they need to grow and succeed. So, RTAP will grow and strengthen the teacher pipeline by providing multiple entry points into the profession, including pathways for paraprofessionals, career changers, and college students. Participants will have the benefit of full-time employment while receiving comprehensive support, mentoring, training, and resources to help them succeed in the classroom. Additionally, RTAPs will target high needs areas like special education, ESOL, STEM, and early childhood education, ensuring we address staffing shortages where they're needed the most. RTAP strengthens educator quality by partnering districts with approved EPPs that prioritize equity-driven training and support. With a focus on hands-on, job-embedded learning, RTAP ensures that educators meet high standards in both teaching practices and subject matter knowledge as they work toward initial licensure. This practical approach not only helps educators excel in the classroom, but also empowers them to better serve all students and contribute to their school communities for years to come. Now I'm going to hand it back over to Claire, who will walk us through the key features of RTAPs in Massachusetts.
Thank you, Lakia. And before I jump in, I just want to remind participants to please use the Q&A feature to submit questions. We're unable to monitor the chat simultaneously. The Q&A feature is where we'll be collecting and documenting all questions to answer at the conclusion of this webinar and or in our follow-up FAQ document. So definitely use that Q&A feature going forward. So before I dive into the program features of RTAPs in Massachusetts, it's important to understand the key players involved in getting any RTAP established and registered with the state's Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development. In Massachusetts, the state's Division of Apprentice Standards, located within the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development, is the authorizing body for all apprentice occupations, including teacher apprentices. As the licensing body for teachers, DESE serves as the intermediary to the Division of Apprentices, meaning that DESE is responsible for reviewing and approving all RTAPs to ensure alignment to teacher preparation and licensure requirements before submitting those programs to DAS for authorization. The districts serve as the employer and therefore the co-sponsor for all registered teacher apprentices. Each RTAP district must have a designated Educator Preparation Program partner, or EPP, to serve as the related technical instruction provider, as well as support from the local union or related labor body. Together, this partnership ensures adherence to the preparation and licensure requirements in Massachusetts, as well as the employment requirements associated with registered apprentices. As Lakia just mentioned, the RTAP standards in Massachusetts have been designed to accommodate multiple pathways to licensure, including baccalaureate, post-baccalaureate, degree, and non-degree granting routes. Many of you already have multiple pathways in place, in which case this won't feel very new or different. The same expectations remain in place regarding effective preparation, regardless of the pathway. Having multiple options to enter into a registered apprenticeship makes it ideal for paraprofessionals, recent college graduates, career changers, or anyone seeking a low-cost pathway to becoming a teacher. We'll talk more about how to think strategically about the pathway that makes the most sense for you later in this webinar. RTAPs may not be the right fit for every district or ed prep provider right away, but they may be ideal for those who need it most. Those districts and ed prep partners that are committed and see the urgency around fostering a more diverse teacher workforce while strengthening the local pipelines into the hardest to staff roles. So I'm now going to shift gears to what is required in order to operate a registered teacher apprenticeship program in Massachusetts, particularly for educator preparation providers. These program requirements are clearly outlined in the work process schedule and related instruction outline, which is located on the RTAP webpage, and should serve as the basic outline for any RTAP program design. I'll briefly review requirements for districts before diving more deeply into expectations for partner educator preparation programs. Again, more information on the district role is available in the first webinar in this series, which is available on our website. So here you can see the requirements and considerations for employing districts. The good news is that many districts already have structures in place that align with the RTAP requirements outlined in the new guidelines and should be familiar. For any district looking to start an RTAP, the first step is to identify the highest need roles in their community, such as special education or STEM. Districts will also need to invest in strong, well-compensated mentors to serve as supervising practitioners, and they will need to identify full-time instructional roles for apprentices while they learn on the job. Districts will also be partnering with approved educator preparation programs to provide those 150 hours of annual related technical instruction while providing 2,000 hours of on-the-job training for each apprentice. In terms of the teaching and learning context, districts will need to show that they're using high-quality instructional materials, collaborate with local unions for support, and be able to support a cohort model to foster a collaborative learning environment for apprentices. Now, I'm going to shift over to preparation and licensure requirements, many of which fall under the locus of control for the partner educator preparation provider. First, a few key facts about RTAPs in Massachusetts. RTAPs are designed as initial licensure pathways. Apprentices are supported throughout the term to meet all requirements for initial licensure, and partner ed prep providers endorse apprentices for licensure once their training is complete. All of the usual licensure and preparation requirements still apply. There are no shortcuts. Apprentices will need to demonstrate subject matter knowledge, meet professional standards, complete pre-practicum and practicum experiences, and pass assessments like CAP. It's also important that the instruction and coursework in these programs are culturally and linguistically responsive. Apprentices need more than just technical teaching skills. They must be equipped to advocate for equity and empower their students. Finally, the on-the-job training must be flexible and embedded in real teaching experiences, ensuring that it addresses the day-to-day realities of working full-time in a classroom. Another key feature of Massachusetts RTAPs is the requirement that programs be rooted in culturally responsive and linguistically sustaining teaching and learning communities. This means that the classrooms and schools where apprentices are employed and trained are committed to making sure that every student feels a sense of belonging, engages in deeper learning, and is held to high expectations with the right support. This aligns with our state's educational vision. Apprentices must also be guided by strong models of culturally responsive and linguistically sustaining instruction from both their mentor teachers and educator preparation faculty, and provided with meaningful opportunities to practice these skills and receive feedback to refine their teaching. This serves as the foundational expectation for an apprentice's experience. And as you know, this focus on culturally responsive and linguistically sustaining teaching is already an expectation for effective preparation, as articulated through the 2023 Program Approval Guidelines and recent updates to CAP. Which brings us to the next section of our presentation today, during which we will review key program elements associated with RTAPs and their alignment to existing program approval expectations. I will acknowledge there is a lot of text on this slide, and I don't expect you to read it right now. We're going to go through each one momentarily. What's important to take away here is the fact that RTAP standards and required elements have been intentionally designed in accordance with the 2023 Program Approval Guidelines and in alignment with the 6 domains and their related criteria. Sponsoring organizations who demonstrate alignment to the program approval criteria across each of the 6 domains are already well positioned to be supportive partners to RTAP districts. And these key elements in particular are necessary to make this model successful. We'll now walk through each in relation to the 6 domains of effective preparation. So starting with the instruction domain, RTAP expectations are associated with instruction. They're slightly more prescriptive in terms of hourly requirements, but are otherwise directly aligned to the underlying requirements in the INS domain. Registered apprentices must receive 150 hours of related technical instruction each year, which is the equivalent of about 3 to 4 courses. This instruction must build evidence-based teaching skills that are culturally responsive and linguistically sustaining, including curricular literacy, and work to develop the apprentice's readiness for the licensure role. Even more specifically, and in accordance with our commitment to inclusive, culturally responsive, and linguistically sustaining teaching and learning environments, RTAP programs of study must equip apprentices with the knowledge and tools to advocate for equity, justice, and freedom within their communities, while empowering students to do the same. This objective can be realized through specific courses or programs of study, but must be demonstrated. Moving on to the organization domain. Participating and sponsoring organizations need to be structured to be ready to provide equitable and effective experiences for all apprentices by establishing the necessary systems, structures, and personnel to support this unique pathway. This means having the appropriate budgetary and fiscal advising in place to support apprentice enrollment at little to no cost. The employment and evaluation of effective, highly trained program supervisors. Faculty with expertise in evidence-based, culturally responsive practices, and the operational flexibility to provide programs of study that meet the needs of fully employed candidates. Perhaps most central to the RTAP model is a strong EdPrep K-12 partnership with shared goals. This is essential to its success. From identifying and working to expand local pipelines into the hardest to staff roles, to prioritizing the recruitment and selection of a more diverse applicant pool. Sponsoring organizations will be working hand in hand with districts to build and sustain these pathways from enrollment to completion. These collaborations will be essential in cultivating a more diverse and effective workforce, ensuring that apprentices and students alike experience anti-racist, culturally and linguistically sustaining learning environments. Engaging in shared continuous improvement activities will also be critical in program oversight and monitoring. From establishing and monitoring shared goals with employing districts, to collecting data from apprentices themselves on their experiences with the program of study, to soliciting input from supervisors on their role as mentors, sponsoring organizations will work side by side with the district to track program quality and impact. This commitment to continuous improvement, particularly in the context of a new pathway model, will help to ensure a more supportive and inclusive environment where apprentices are well prepared to be effective in their local community and in their licensure role. It will also support scaling up over time if that is of interest to the specific district partnership. Support for the apprentices themselves is more important than ever in this model, with the expectation that apprentices have access to extensive wraparound supports, mentorship, and training throughout their term. In addition to communities provided by the sponsoring school and district, the EdPrep program retains responsibility for recruiting and supporting apprentices into the program, providing them with strong advising and mentorship, supporting equitable access to a flexible program of study, and providing support around licensure requirements. By the time they are endorsed for licensure, apprentices should be truly ready to step into the classroom as effective educators who can make a positive impact. And finally, the field-based experience domain truly comes to life through the registered teacher apprenticeship experience. With a minimum of 2,000 hours of on-the-job training, registered teacher apprentices are engaged in continual, high-quality school-based experiences that over time will equip them to be effective educators for every student. Sponsoring organizations in partnership with employing districts remain responsible for ensuring that apprentices are employed in culturally responsive and linguistically sustaining classrooms with high-quality instructional materials, that they have access to highly trained supervising practitioners, and have sufficient opportunities to be introduced to, practice, and demonstrate evidence-based practices aligned to the PSTs and in accordance with the program approval requirements throughout their 2,000 hours of on-the-job training. One aspect of a registered teacher apprenticeship that is unique to this pathway is the requirement that apprentices complete a specific number of training hours in each of the standards of effective practice, or the PST domains. Specifically, within the required 2,000 hours of on-the-job training, apprentices will be required to spend 732 hours in curriculum instruction, 684 hours in teaching all students, 195 hours in family and community engagement, and 389 hours in professional culture. These numbers, while admittedly very specific, are not arbitrary. They were calculated in accordance with the number of indicators and elements within each standard, as well as CAP's essential elements, which are weighted more heavily. This is obviously the distribution of hours for a 2,000-hour apprenticeship term. For pathways of longer duration, proportionally more hours will be required for each standard, and we will be providing guidance around that. This more structured approach is required of all registered apprentices in the state, regardless of the type of occupation, which is what makes it unique to this particular pathway. But it ensures that apprentices really gain the skills and experiences needed to effectively teach, engage with families and communities, and maintain a professional learning environment, fully preparing them for the classroom. We will be supporting RTAPs to develop systems for monitoring and tracking hours, and we'll be establishing processes for all of these partnerships with the goal of creating as seamless a process as possible. So given these emphases and requirements, sponsoring organizations well positioned to support RTAPs will be those with intentional and collaborative pre-K-12 partnerships already in place that benefit both candidates and schools. These types of partnerships will play an important role in cultivating a diverse and effective educator workforce while promoting anti-racist, culturally and linguistically sustaining learning and experiences for both educators and students. So organizations that have experience in things like residency models, those that offer culturally and linguistically sustaining grounded programs of study, and have established strong district partnerships and demonstrate a clear investment in the local educator pipeline are likely best positioned to step into and support the implementation of RTAPs over at least the first couple of years of implementation. So we've just shared a lot of programmatic information with you. We're now going to shift gears and directly address several of the commonly asked questions about registered teacher apprentices, several of which emerged during our first webinar and others that have been coming in through our inbox and other mechanisms. So I'm going to turn it back over to Lakia to get us started with the first set of commonly asked questions.
Thank you again, Claire. And I want to acknowledge the Q&A, the activity. I appreciate the questions that are coming in. And hopefully the next couple of slides will address some of your core commonly asked questions. So let's start with, what are the requirements and considerations for apprentices? Apprentices must meet certain requirements to participate, and that begins with them being at least 18 years old and having a high school diploma or equivalent. They must also meet physical requirements set by the employer to navigate the school environment. Additionally, they must fulfill the admission requirements for the ed prep provider. An important feature of RTAPs is also the fact that during the apprenticeship term, apprentices work in classrooms under the supervision of a licensed mentor teacher called a journey worker, and are not allowed to serve as lead teacher or teachers of record at any point. The goal is to assist them with learning alongside a mentor and preparing for the classroom during their apprenticeship term. What are the requirements and considerations for journey workers, mentors, aka supervising practitioners? Every apprentice must be assigned to and supervised by a journey worker, and this has to be someone who likely has the same license that they are on the track for. They must be full-time employees of the school district and have at least 3 years of experience in a teaching role, again, aligned with the apprentice's licensure pathway. Additionally, they must have received a proficient or exemplary rating on their most recent performance evaluation. Together with the partner EPP, employers should select journey worker mentor teachers who have demonstrated a strong impact on student outcomes, particularly with marginalized groups. They should also select people who have demonstrated the ability to facilitate culturally responsive and linguistically sustaining teaching practices. They also need to be capable of coaching a diverse group of adult learners. So, how long does it take to complete an apprenticeship term? As we've already discussed, completing an RTAP requires at least 2,000 hours of on-the-job training and 150 hours of related instruction each year. This, again, typically equates to 3 to 4 college courses per year. This is representative of a post-bac program or similar, and given the length of the school year, a program of this duration would likely span 2 academic years. For context, longer RTAP pathways that cover a full baccalaureate degree, grant and track, will typically take around 6,000 hours of on-the-job training. After finishing an RTAP, apprentices may be endorsed for their initial license, making them eligible for full-time teaching positions in Massachusetts. Can an apprentice be a teacher of record? The short answer is no. An apprentice cannot be a teacher of record during any point of their apprenticeship. While they are employed in instructional roles, apprentices must always be under the supervision of a licensed journey worker teacher who acts as their mentor. Apprentices might work independently with students as part of their training, but they must always have access to their supervising journey worker teacher. This ensures that apprentices have the support they need as they develop their skills and grow into effective educators, while maintaining the structure and guidance required for success in the classroom. I'm going to turn it back over to Claire to answer some more commonly asked questions.
Thanks, Lakia. So we've received this question several times. Can an RTAP district partner with more than one educator preparation program? Yes, this is absolutely possible. However, we are discouraging it, at least during the first year or two of implementation, primarily because districts will really need time to establish those key financial and operational systems that support the program, like data sharing agreements, mentor selection and training, wage schedules, and other wraparound supports. Once these systems are in place, districts may consider expanding into other partnerships, but it's really important to build a solid foundation first in order to get a proof of concept going and really establish your understanding of best practices for registered teacher apprenticeship programs. Are RTAP districts limited to special education, ESL, STEM, and early childhood fields? These are obviously the 4 that we have cited in relation to those high needs areas. The answer is that specifically for grant-funded RTAPs, which we'll talk more about in a few minutes, DESE will be prioritizing these 4 areas because they are the hardest to staff with ongoing shortages, highest turnover rates, and inadequate pipelines throughout the state. However, districts can propose RTAPs in other high needs fields if they can show a local persistent need, partner with an ed prep provider capable of preparing educators in that field, and support a cohort of apprentices. So this flexibility hopefully will allow districts to address their specific staffing challenges, as well as those 4 high priority fields that we have named. So what happens if an apprentice is considered at risk of not meeting program expectations? And we talk about this a lot in the context of your role and responsibility as an ed prep provider. So this again is unique to the occupation of registered teacher apprentice, but every apprentice will begin with a probationary period of 500 on-the-job training hours, which is or no more than 25% of the program. If issues arise after this period, an apprenticeship agreement can be suspended or revoked, but only after proper notice and an opportunity for corrective action has taken place. There is more specific information about how to navigate employment-related concerns in the work process schedule on our website, so I encourage you to go there. But with regard to preparation program concerns, Ed Prep partners still retain responsibility for monitoring candidate progress and providing additional support and interventions when needed. If for any reason an apprentice chooses not to continue in the licensure program and the apprentice agreement is suspended or canceled, the district may choose to keep the individual employed, but that will be a process that gets articulated through the employment agreement and the apprenticeship agreement. So how are RTAPs funded? We are going to dig into this topic much more in future webinars starting next month, as well as through additional guidance materials. But as far as a high-level overview is concerned, RTAPs are designed to provide aspiring educators with a pathway to licensure at little to no cost. That is a fundamental feature of this pathway model. In order to meet this goal, they are supported through various funding sources, including grants from DESE, which we'll talk about in a moment, federal grants, and funds from the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development. Apprentices can also benefit from scholarships like Pell Grants and Tomorrow's Teacher programs, as well as WIOA Workforce Program grants. These funds can be used to cover costs such as tuition, fees, tutoring, childcare, transportation, and licensure assessments, preparation and support, making the program accessible and removing financial barriers for apprentices. The fact is there is no one ideal funding model. RTAPs will be blending and braiding funds together in ways that are most beneficial to them. We will be providing extensive and additional guidance on effective funding models going forward, including informational webinars, toolkits, and direct technical assistance later this year. So please stay tuned. So we are at the last portion of our webinar, so I'm going to turn it back over to Lakia to close us out. She's going to present an overview of the program review and approval process for all RTAPs and information about DESE grant funds to support a small cohort of RTAP districts.
Awesome. Thank you again, Claire. So as mentioned earlier, DESE serves as the intermediary for all RTAPs in Massachusetts and will start accepting and reviewing applications from interested districts later this fall. Applying districts will begin the process by completing an intent to submit and a needs assessment survey. This survey should highlight the district's high need teaching positions, identify the target licensure role, identify a prospective ed prep provider, demonstrate local interest, and outline workforce diversity needs. This process will look familiar with sponsoring organizations as it mirrors the informal review submission process already available for new programs. If the initial submission is approved, the district will be notified and can move forward with a full application. The submission window for new RTAPs will open from November 24 to March 2025. The RTAP review and approval process is flexible, with the submission window open until late spring and proposals received on a rolling basis. Districts and programs should submit their intent and complete a needs assessment early, followed by full proposals during the winter. DESE will review submissions to ensure they meet state standards and workforce needs. By late spring, approval status and any next steps will be provided. Once approved, RTAPs will be submitted for official registration with the goal of enrolling apprentices in the fall. Districts will eventually have the option to submit multiple RTAPs across different licensure areas with various EPPs, but again, we strongly encourage that you focus on one process at a time, one licensure area, one partnership at a time. However, again, to keep things manageable, we encourage you guys to start small, and we're going to scale up relatively quickly depending on how things go as a foundational level. We will have guidance for you through the application process as well as the review process through an informational webinar, with the first one scheduled for November 8th at 11 a.m. DESE will also provide additional supports to help districts and EdPrep providers succeed. These include handbooks, professional learning communities to manage implementation and change, training programs for supervisors and mentors, and guidance on securing state and federal funding. Additionally, an external evaluation will be commissioned to assess the program's impact. All of these resources are designed to ensure the successful and sustainable implementation of RTAP across participating districts. DESE will also offer grant funding for individual awards ranging from $100,000 to $250,000 per year for up to 3 years, depending on available funding. The application window for grant-funded RTAPs will open November 2024 through February 25, with informational webinars again starting in November. In addition to the program requirements already covered, some key features of grant-funded RTAPs include required mentor training provided by DESE and the creation of apprentice affinity groups. Programs receiving these grants must show evidence of culturally and linguistically sustaining teaching and learning environments, the use of high-quality instructional materials, and a focus on high-needs areas like special ed and STEM. Additionally, programs must provide wraparound support to ensure apprentices are successful. The RTAP grant timeline follows a similar process to the general application review and approval process. However, it is slightly condensed to accommodate governor approval and fund distribution. Once the grant application window opens, districts will have access to informational webinars and office hours to support them through the process. In the spring, selected districts will be notified as part of Cohort 1, at which point they will proceed with DAS registration and apprentice recruitment. The program officially launches in the summer and fall, which includes mentor training, the completion of summer coursework, and the initiation of employment for apprentices in the fall. Priority for the grant will be given to districts with larger than average gaps between student and teacher demographics and Title I schools and districts identified as underperforming. Now, let's talk about whether RTAP again might be a good fit for your EdPrep program. First, think about how you can build and strengthen partnerships. RTAP thrives on collaboration, so working closely with districts is important to making sure your program is successful. Next, take time to assess your program's readiness. Does your team have the resources and structure in place to support apprentices and mentor teachers effectively? Also consider engaging your faculty is another important step. Their buy-in is key, since they'll be playing a direct role in supporting and mentoring apprentices. Focus on high needs areas. RTAP is designed to meet teaching shortages, so you'll want to target and prioritize these areas in your program's design. Lastly, start exploring funding opportunities. There are flexible ways to fund RTAP by combining different sources, which can make it more sustainable for your program. With these steps and considerations in mind, you can start to see if RTAP is the right fit for your EPP. So we have come to the end of the formal presentation, and on behalf of DESE and the RTAP team, we thank you for your engagement and participation in today's webinar. We surely hope you found the information helpful. If you'd like to follow up with questions or like to be added to our mailing list to receive updates, please email us at educatorapprenticeships@mass.gov. You can also visit the DESE RTAP website for more details and resources, or sign up to meet with one of us during an upcoming office hour. We will provide the link in the chat so that you can sign up accordingly. We look forward to staying connected and supporting your efforts to build a diverse and effective teaching workforce.